Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, Sunday, February 9th, 2025. You may be surprised to see me here. I did not believe I was going to be able to do a video this morning for all of you, but my plans did change. So here we go. We are going to talk about a few things, some pretty big developments over the weekend. And yes, this is my newest segment of Markets A Look Ahead. Let's start off with what's happening with regard to the global debt market, which you and I could not be more clear is a time bomb. It is being fueled with such ferocity at this time just to maintain the illusion that things are functioning. It's kind of out of control. And what am I talking about? Exploding global debt, deficits across the board. Tell Greg Mannarino one more time, who's making up the difference here? Nations around this world, including the United States, cannot continue to run debts and deficits like this. So when you run a deficit, when a nation runs a debt or a deficit, which entity is it that makes up the gap? Well, of course, it's central banks, quite obviously. And we're watching global debt balloon at a pace we've never seen before. At the same time, and they don't want you to know this, please do your own research about what I'm speaking about. The global economy is contracting and contracting and contracting and contracting, and debt is ballooning. It's quite an environment to live in right now, unfortunately. And who's responsible for all this is really, I mean, it's pretty obvious to me. Again, we, unfortunately, the people of this world, we can't be free. We cannot be a free people anywhere if we are being forced to live under a monetary situation enforced by central banks. They are the enemy. It's the central banks of this world, this sounds familiar to you, that have been driving the middle class of this world and the economy into the ground. And you know that this mechanism has clearly inflated an epic bubble in debt beyond our wildest imaginations. But what's really happening here is this debt creation expansion cycle that we've never witnessed in the history of the world, because it's accelerating, has obviously allowed the stock markets to kind of float on oceans of debt. And as I've said to you for what feels like 1,000 years, the stock markets of the world, and I would imagine the illusion of the world built on the back of that, is a house of cards floating on a pool of gasoline so expansive it's even hard for me to get my head around. Anyway, look, so that situation is not going to stop. Nations around this world, including the United States, are going to continue to allow their respective central bank to inflate, which is their number one goal. Central banks have. This is not anything new. Those of you that have been with me or understand the system realize this is a system that is ancient, way, way older than the inception of central banking. I think we can all understand that. Maybe you guys and girls need to look into this a little more. All right, don't take my word for anything I say at all, ever. If something I say to you doesn't hit you the right way, or you're not connecting with it, then I urge you to just open up another window, pause the video, look it up. See, is what Greg's saying true? Or is this something Greg's making up for whatever reason? Okay, just make up your own minds as always. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm not here to make up your mind. We all have a God-given intellect, and I believe we need to engage that. You understand? Okay. I think it's pretty easy here. So let's talk about the mechanism here of trying to keep rates suppressed, and at least what they're trying to do is quite obviously this is a coordinated effort right now. It's not working. What I'm talking about is central banks getting into the debt market, obviously buying all the debt in an attempt to keep rates suppressed to allow cash to move into the stock market to maintain the illusion. The illusion of the stock market is massively powerful. People see their investment plans going up. They don't care about nothing else. Again, they're paper rich, so they think they're rich. It's not true. Those digits that you see in your account, they're not real. They're just digits. They don't exist. They're not on the elemental chart. You understand? And again, when this whole thing disappears, and it's going to, again, the debt hyperbubble is the greatest threat to human life on this planet. It's going to lead to a an issue with the availability of resources. Not that their resources aren't there, that the ability to obtain things via the system shutting down. We all depend on their system here, this central bank debt-based monster of a system, which is just a curse. It's a curse upon the world, honestly. And there's no world leader today, not one, who's speaking out against it. All they're doing is trying to work with their central banks, calling for lower rates here. This is what we need. We already have. Think about it. Historically low rates around the world. How's the economy of the world looking for you? Is it prosperous? Are we doing great? The 1% and 2% is sure doing great. But the rest of us here, this mechanism of destroying the purchasing power of the currency via the mechanism of artificially suppressed rates is a wrecking machine. It's a wrecking machine for the economy. It's a wrecking machine for the middle class. We need to, again, we need some world leader out here, and the one who does it is going to win. Okay, because the people will get right behind that person, whoever it might be. We need a world leader somewhere who's going to say, hold on a second, we got to stop with this. You really want to cut spending. I know this whole thing with Doge and everything else, which we're going to talk about in a moment here. Forget about cutting spending here. We got to cut right to the root cause of the problem. The root cause of the problem in this case is the Federal Reserve, who is inflating. They're inflating on a scale we've never seen before. They're devaluing the currency on a scale that we've never seen before. This can't be linear. In other words, to keep the illusion real, you have to have exponential rising debt. In this case here, again, it's central banks who are the enemy. They're pressuring the currency via the mechanism of artificially suppressed rates. Artificially suppressed rates, again, is allowing the currency to free fall. A higher rate, if we're getting higher rates, for example, let's just say President Trump changed his mind, okay? Instead of saying we need lower rates here, which we know we're getting, it keeps getting floated out here. Oh, it's going to be put off. It's going to be there. Whatever it doesn't matter anymore. You can see what central banks are doing. They're getting into the debt market itself. They're buying the debt, and you can see this being reflected in the 10-year yield here in the United States, or the benchmark around the world. You understand? So that mechanism here is, again, to do one thing: open up a doorway for cash to make its way into the stock market and inflate that bubble here, even larger than it already is. Now, higher rates, absolutely. People ask me this all the time. Hey, Greg, what would that do to the stock market? It would devastate it. But it's going to get devastated anyway. It's not real. What you're witnessing here with regard to the global equity markets is it's an illusion, again, built on the back of oceans and oceans and oceans and oceans of debt. You understand? That debt bubble is going to burst. What do you think is going to happen to the stock markets of the world? They're going to still go up? No. The stock markets of the world, and you know this if you've been with me for any length of time, have become nothing but a derivative. In other words, the stock markets of the world are getting their valuation from now suppressed yields, suppressed bond yields, central banks getting in here buying it all. It's not real. As a matter of fact, look, man, I told you this 1,000 times. There isn't a single asset, not one asset class today that has any kind whatsoever of a real price discovery mechanism. When you have the system where central banks are in here buying it all, they're also, look, man, don't take my word for this. Central banks right now are loading up on gold. They're the number one buyers of gold right now. Meanwhile, they're shoving their product, debt, and currency, which is not real money, right down your throat. And you work for these things. No. You work for the privilege. Think about this. To borrow these bills into existence. You don't own them. Those bills in your pocket, they're not yours. They're owned by the issuing central bank. They're owed back to the issuing central bank, plus interest they created out of nothing. Imagine who created this system. It's an incredible thing. Who's benefiting? The 1% and 2%ers. That's how it always is. It's called the Cantillon effect. And that effect, Cantillon effect, moving forward, is going to make sure that the billionaires, soon to be trillionaires, some of them here, benefit while the rest of us pay for it in the form of a rapidly deteriorating economy and our own financial situations here with regard to the cost of living exploding. It's not going to stop. I really wanted to get this out here, and I want you guys and girls to understand what's happening here. We honestly need real change that would make a difference to the people of the middle class. That means right off the bat, again, when you hear a world leader saying we need lower rates or demanding lower rates, that means they're working or they have to work with the central bank to make it happen. Central bank, any world leader does not have access to a printing press. They don't have the ability to buy debt, but they can work with the central bank who does exactly those two things. Issue debt through one door in the form of currency, which is not money, and then buy it back through another door. And this mechanism, this revolving door, is a vortex leading to the inflationary situation that we're in right now. Do you understand? No one can tell you that. No one is going to tell you that. But it's too simple to just understand how it works. Are we on the same page? I hope we are. I hope we are. Anyway, look. So with regard to, again, the mechanism of central banks in here buying debt, this must increase exponentially. In other words, to keep rates suppressed here, central banks must buy more and then more and then more. It can't go up in a linear fashion. It has to go like a hockey stick, like that. It goes back to what I've been trying to explain to all of you for over the last week, the law of diminishing returns. People are expecting, oh, we're going to stimulate the economy. We're going to stimulate the economy because the economy has already been driven to the ground by the same mechanism that they're going to use to stimulate it. Does that make any sense to you at all? Does it make sense to you that that's going to work? Of course it's not going to work. What you might see is a stabilization in the debt market via exponential debt, and you might see a stock market recover. That's what they're trying to do. Again, the S&P 500 here in the United States, we've gone nowhere. We are still below the December 5th high of whatever it was, a 6,088. We're still below that. Okay, the market hasn't gone anywhere, but central banks around the world are really trying to jar that market so they can maintain the illusion of prosperity. People see the market higher, they think the economy is doing great. Well, they don't care. Again, people look at their investment plans. Everything's fine. I'm great. I'm rich on paper. But you got nothing. You got nothing until you take it out. You understand? Anyway, look. So with regard to the MMRI, which is clearly a reflection of what the Federal Reserve in this case is doing, and this is going on around the world here. 10-year yield rising now, MMRI back over 300. This market is struggling. The market is struggling on the back of that. Part of the calculation here of my little thing I developed here is utilizing the 10-year yield as a mechanism to create the MMRI. It also uses a dollar on a relative strength basis. You know that. Very simple mechanism, color-coded for all of you. It's 100% free. You don't have to sign up for it or anything. There is a link in the description of this video. Let us move forward here. Now, this is propaganda, and I'm going to show you what propaganda looks like. This is Reuters. So central banks grapple with uncertainty in 2025's foggy economic landscape. Who's responsible for monetary policy? Who's responsible for the economies of the world via monetary policy, the financial markets, the financial system? It's central banks. Okay, you're not allowed to know that. It's not presidents, kings, queens, dictators, or monarchs who run the system. It's the central banks here. And the mechanism here is these central banks know exactly what they're doing. This is not an accident. This is not a comedy of errors. Why we are here, where we are right now. This is 1 billion trillion % deliberate. And this is not going to stop moving forward unless we the people do something about it. If we the people could unify, why do you think we can't unify? Why we've been so divided? Why we've been conquered? Why you've been told falsehoods across the board and lies and deceptions, and it's this person's fault and it's that person's fault, whatever it might be. Everything to keep your eye off the root cause of the problem, which is, again, central banks, who are clearly understand what they're doing and where we're going. The destruction of the economy and the middle class here, creating dependency on the system, is only part of the bridge right now as we're being pushed into a cryptocurrency-based system. We're not going back to a constitutional. I always point to that ship. That's the USS Constitution behind me. You see that? Anyway. We're not going back to a constitutional money system anywhere in the world unless you take action. Start demanding that we return to a constitutional money system. We're guaranteed a constitutional money system, a gold-backed system in the Constitution. You don't believe me? Maybe you should look it up for yourself. People are so disconnected from reality. They don't understand what they're actually been promised here. That's what we need here. Are we going to get it? No. Would that fix the system? Would going back into a constitutional money system actually fix the system? 100% it would. President Trump could write an executive order today making fiat currency illegal. He could put us back onto a gold standard by executive order. By executive order, he could raise the price of gold to, it would have to be 40, 50, 60, maybe even $70,000 per ounce. And yes, indeed, we will have a real system back again. It would send a ripple effect around the world. This would end central banking around the world. By the time President Trump finished his signature on the executive order, central banking would be over. We would have our system back that we are guaranteed here in the U.S. Constitution, but that's not what's happening here at all whatsoever. We have a major issue with regard to bank deregulation. Hold that thought, because we got to talk about that, because it's now taken on a whole new meaning over the weekend. And this merging of cryptocurrency with that system to bridge us into what we all know is coming. And this is what really bothers me sometimes. I get bent out of control. My post-market wrap-up on Friday, I really lost it, because I couldn't believe what's happening to people with consumer debt skyrocketing at a pace we've never seen before in history in one single month. People can't survive. People can't get by. What does that come down to? The monetary system. They're being dissolved. People are being exterminated. It's an incredible thing to see. It's an extinction level event, and they're trying to prop up the stock market is what they're trying to do here. And we've reached that moment, in my view, where the law of diminishing returns is really hitting home. It's what's called the maximum saturation, something I came up with on my own. The point of where the system is so stretched out that nothing they do, again, the mechanism to prop this up since the meltdown of '08 has been just heroin. What's the job of a market? To determine fair value. We don't have that at all anymore. When a market crashes, the reason why it's doing it is trying to balance out distortions. That's really all it is here. And what we have here, this stock market situation in the world is a nightmare. It's a nightmare situation. It's going to end very badly. Of course, I think we're all on the same page. We're in the middle right now of the largest wealth transfer globally that we've ever seen in the history of the world, right up to the 1% and 2%ers, right up to the 1% and 2%ers. And they're as happy can be. But the middle class of the world, people are suffering here. This is a dystopian situation. It's not utopia, it's dystopia. That sounds about utopia for the 1% and 2%ers here. They couldn't be happier because of the current situation there. Sound about right to you? Yeah. But anyway, going back to this, central banks know exactly what they're doing. They're not grappling with anything. They know where the economy is going to go. They just got to figure out ways to inflate. What are they going to do to inflate? What mechanism they're going to utilize? And we might have got a little glimpse into that. Let me show you what came out here. This is just over the weekend. You won't be able to see this. I'm going to read it to you. So defense stocks, Trump's big military spending plans. Yes, I understand. We all need a strong military. Absolutely. But let me read this to you so you can see where we're going with this. So as part of Trump's America First policy, sounds good to me. I'm sure you do as well if you're an American citizen. The U.S. military and cybersecurity sectors could experience sweeping changes, creating opportunities for investors, listen to this, who recognize the long-term growth potential in defense. You guys and girls, look, man, I'm not telling you where to put your cash to work. I never would. But it does appear that, there's a list here of a few companies you might want to look at, and I'll provide that to you in just a moment. So defense spending under Trump is expected to increase to 6% of GDP. Currently, the U.S. is spending 3.4% of GDP on defense, which already makes the United States the world's largest defense spender. But it looks like we're going to 6%. So do you know what that even means? Trillions of dollars. Okay, where's it going to come from? Okay, like I've been telling you, there's a shell game going on. Let's cut this, but let's move that cash someplace else. Trump is not going to allow GDP to drop. Believe me, he's not going to allow that to happen. So there's not going to be any net spending cuts. None. That means who's going to support the system? Obviously, the Federal Reserve. Got to come out of nothing. They just add digits to a screen here. So going from 3.4% GDP on defense spending, again, which already makes the United States, at least according to this article, the largest defense spender on the planet, we're going to go to 6%. Now, there are the top four corporations here producing military hardware for the United States. I mean, this isn't going to surprise you. Let me just show it to you real quick. I don't know if you can see these here. It's Lockheed Martin, RTX, Northrop Grumman, Boeing. I would imagine that these companies are going to do very well. If we go from a 3.4% GDP to a 6% GDP spending on defense. So again, wherever you guys and girls stand on this, you realize it's a shell game. You're being played. We don't have the cash for this. We're broke. We're the most destitute nation in the history of the world. This is a fact. Period. The end. Look into this yourself. Don't take my word for nothing. But it looks like a massive increase in defense spending here, and certain corporations are going to do very, very well. I just named them for you here. I showed you Lockheed Martin, RTX, Northrop Grumman, and Boeing. You guys are going to do what you want with this information. I'm not telling you to do a darn thing. All right, so there we go. Now, with that, I want to move on to something else here that's happened over the weekend. And I don't know how many of you are actually familiar with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. After the 2008 meltdown, when people got completely destroyed, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was put into effect. And it's right now it's under attack. And there's a new player here, someone I never even freaking heard of. And maybe you guys and girls are familiar with this person. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you who this is. I'll read this to you in a moment here. Let's just get to it here. So here we go. So Musk's team takes control of key systems at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Make up your mind if this is something that you guys and girls want to go away, because it looks like it may be going away. So let's look at this here. This is 2 days ago here. So representatives, I'm just going to read this to you straight out, and then you guys and girls, we'll talk in a second. So Representatives Elon Musk's cost-cutting team have entered the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and gained access to internal computer systems. In the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has returned more than $17 billion to consumers who had been determined were wronged by financial firms. Now, you know my take on this. Banks are the enemy. Why is it, in your opinion, and you're entitled to your own, that banks are being basically, they're going to have no regulations moving forward here? I think there should be parameters in here. The banks cannot have the ability to do whatever they want with your cash. Again, they're not playing with their cash. They're playing with yours. The same situation that really melted, well, people lost everything in 2008. This bureau here was put in place, the Financial Protection Bureau was put in place to do that. And $17 billion have been returned to consumers. Now, this is where this gets a little, I don't know, man, it's kind of interesting to me. Now, you guys and girls, let me know what you think about this. So, prominent venture, I never heard of this person in my freaking life up until this article here. And I did do a little research into this person. So, you guys and girls, please do your own research. So, prominent venture capitalist and software engineer and billionaire, Mark Andreessen. How do you say that word? I'm very bad at saying names. Andreessen. Mark Andreessen, he blamed the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for terrorizing financial institutions. For terrorizing financial institutions. Now, I did not know this. This Mark Andreessen is helping to advise Musk. So this guy, another person, I don't know, we didn't vote for or anything. Andreessen is helping to advise Musk's efforts in using Doge to reshape the federal government, including the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know anything about him. Could be the nicest guy on the face of the earth. But here we have, this might not have even been Trump's idea. This guy Andreessen here, helping Musk, or advising Musk, look at the word here, advising Musk and using Musk's system to take down this organization, which he blames for terrorizing financial institutions. Do you think that these financial institutions are been terrorized at all with record profits across the board? Make it up. Who's paying for this? I sincerely believe that the banking system as a whole, which is being massively deregulated, and if this is, in my view, what we're seeing here is nothing but another mechanism to strip any and all regulation away from the banks. The banks, there's something going on here. I've been telling people for a very, very long time, we must, and we're seeing it already, a consolidation of power. Power must be controlled by fewer and fewer people. In other words, power in fewer and fewer hands moving forward to have a greater control over everyone else. Does that sound right to you? Or is Greg not right on that? Does that hit you the right way, what I'm saying? Or hit you the wrong way? I sincerely believe that Wall Street has already picked their scapegoat. And I told you this scapegoat years and years ago before it was actually chosen here by President Trump, obviously, who actually pointed at, and Fox News, who pointed at Bank of America for being discriminatory towards conservative Republicans. Meanwhile, their CEO, look this up for yourself, Moynihan, is a conservative Republican. Banks have been blamed for discrimination since the beginning of time. I believe the Bank of America is being set up for a scapegoat. They gotta assign blame. You have to understand that for my lawyers out here, all right, I know there are a lot of lawyers that follow this blog. Does that sound right to you? Assigning blame, even if it's not true or is true, whatever it might be. A blame must be assigned. So the system is going to come down. They know it. They already picked their scapegoat, in my view. Real or not, the fall guy for Wall Street to say, okay, look, this is the fault. This is why. They were taking bad bets on derivatives. Sound familiar to you? This is what we were sold last time and why we, the people, had to bail out the system. Partially why, in main reason why the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was created, which has returned $17 billion to consumers. But again, this person here, Marc Andreessen, write that down. M-A-R-C, Marc Andreessen, A-N-D-R-E-E-S-S-E-N, is blaming the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for terrorizing. But they've been terrorized. They've terrorized banks on behalf of the people. He doesn't like it. This guy here, this multi-billionaire already, and he is advising Musk on what action to take. Did you know about this? Were you told about this? Should you have been told about this? Is what I want to know. All right, look, I want to hear your take on all this. Military spending, 6% GDP. This is just absolute propaganda on a massive scale. And let's keep our eyes on this, people. Let's keep our eyes on this. Look, with regard to this video, you guys and girls make up your own mind here, all right? Is it important what I spoke about? Not important? And you can let me know by those thumbs up. If I've earned your thumbs up because what I've spoken about is something you feel that you should know about, and I really believe that we should have been notified about this Marc Andreessen now advising Musk and blaming the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for terrorizing the banks. Let me know what you think about that. Do you feel that these banks shouldn't be terrorized? Are they our friends? Do you believe that the banks are on your side? Interesting, isn't it? Interesting concept. I personally don't believe that. I think these institutions are predatory. I think they will suck you dry. They'll take everything you have without even thinking about it because you're nothing. You're a means to an end to these institutions. So do you want to see this happen? Do you want to see Marc Andreessen take down the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau? It's early. And do you think that they're guilty for terrorizing financial institutions by returning $17 billion to the people? We the people? You want to see this go away? Let me know what you think, all right? Love you all from the heart with all I got. People, I will see you in the morning, all right, for my usual thing that I do for all of you. I hope you guys have a great weekend here. And think about these things that I'm talking about, please. If we don't start to stand up for ourselves, stand up for our rights, what's ours here, demanding a return to constitutional money, a real system here. We don't want to be bridged into a crypto system. We don't want to be the crypto capital of the world. We want to be the constitutional money capital of the world. Does that sound right to you? Tell me if that alone sounds right to you. I mean, a lot of things here. I'd love to hear from you guys and girls on. I promise to read through the comments, all right? This guy, with all I got, loves you from the heart. with all I got, people. And I will see all of you tomorrow as usual. All right, until we meet again, what am I going to tell you? Please take care of yourselves and take care of each other.